Hello there, Reformed Jedi here to share a tale with you about what I consider to be the greatest game of all time. Let me set the stage. It was the mid-1990s and the pinnacle of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System era. I was but a Padawan of about 10 years of age, playing everything I could on my older brother's console, from Mario, Metroid, Donkey Kong, and everything in between. But it was really then that I discovered the role-playing game genre. The first two games that got me hooked into that scene were The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past and Secret of Mana. It was the latter that introduced me to the greatest game developer of that age, Squaresoft. From that moment on, I absorbed every iota of information that Nintendo Power Magazine had to offer from the developer, and it was in that glorious book of knowledge, guidance, and advertisements that I discovered what would be the game of all games, Chrono Trigger. Now, as a child, I was far from popular and had very few friends, so I spent most of my time on my own in my own imagination. Then came along this game. To enter a world that offered time travel, heroes, villains, romance, magic monsters, and friendship simply called to me. I mean, who wouldn't want to be an average kid with spiky hair and an affinity for samurai swords, with a brilliant best friend, wandering around the Millennial Fair, bump into a pretty girl with secrets in her eyes, and then be thrust into an adventure featuring dozens of engaging characters and spanning millions of years? Speaking of the characters, there are several companions that accompany you along the way. For instance, a robot from the future you hope to save, a cursed knight sworn to protect the royal family of the Middle Ages, and even a primitive cave woman with a fighter's spirit from the ancient past. All these characters and more, with lives, stories, and connections of their own that further flesh out the vibrant world that surrounds you. Each of the companions having their own different abilities. And in the battle system, you can combine these abilities with the main character, another character, and even the third in the party. All very unique, and some requiring special hidden items to grant you that ultimate power. You have a vast number of quests that actively change the world around you, some of which you don't even see the impact of until you travel to another time period. A glimpse of this, a small glimpse, can be seen in the simple act of opening a treasure chest. If you open a chest in the past that has a counterpart and still exists in the present or future, you will limit yourself to what you can attain if you open it in a previous time period, without opening it first in the future time period. All your decisions carry through. So the decisions you make in your quests actually carry an impact all the way to the end. And this is something that even most modern games still don't get right. Throughout your journey, you face many dangers. You lose friends. You save loved ones. Expose conspiracies. Potentially make allies out of enemies. All leading to the climactic confrontation that the future of all humanity hinges upon. There are so many roads that lead to this final battle with a host of different outcomes. There are 13 endings to this game with various alterations or sub-endings within those 13. the value alone in replayability is well worth the time invested. This game has had multiple ports over the years that have added animated cutscenes that draw you in further, deeper, and connect more to the narrative. They've added new missions and even an epilogue that somewhat connects to the sequel, Chrono Cross. The only downside, in my opinion, to the most recent ports would be the changes to the script. But that could just be my old man nostalgia for the original. Now, I have been vague about most of the details as not to spoil too much for those who may yet encounter Chrono Trigger for the first time. But I know if I had the ability to travel in time, I would go back to being that 10-year-old Padawan again. I would hug my parents a little tighter and then play Chrono Trigger for the first time again.